Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and Infogalactic. We'll give it a few minutes before to give people time to get here and so forth. Kind of a interesting past couple days. This is my new crypto fashion shirt. Ivan Throne, Castelia House author, and I think I have right here the author of The 9 Laws. And it's actually, this is actually coincidental, but it's very relevant to what I'm going to talk about tonight. Let me give you a put this into context, just relative context. Tonight I had a soccer game, and especially when you're playing veteran soccer, you're always fatigued. You're always tired. It's bizarre. You go out onto the field, and like in the first 5 minutes, you're already going, "Oh my gosh, how can I do this?" Especially it was kind of funny. There's some young kid on Twitter today who is, going, I'm smarter and I'm better educated, and you're old. It kind of made me laugh. Believe me, nobody is more familiar with the concept of being old than a 49-year-old soccer player who last week was playing against a team where the youngest player was 18. A good men's team. To put into perspective the level of soccer that we play, my team, all the old guys, we lost 4-3 to my son's team. The finger's actually pretty good, a little swollen, but it's all right. We lost 4-3 to my son's team, which I'm still very, very annoyed about, because my son stopped me on a one-on-one, stopped one of my shots and one of my teammates' shots in succession. We would have won if we could have hit those. But the point is that I went to his game, his first season game, and they crushed the other team 8-1. So we're playing at a high level, and I'm tonight at my game I was the oldest guy on the field, and it can be a rough sport. They had to bring an ambulance because one of our defenders broke one of their forwards' legs. That's another hazard of veterans football. The defenders are not as fast as they think they are, and so they have a tendency to arrive late. So, anyhow, the point that I'm getting to here is, there's this point, you're tired, your body hurts. And the defender, who is 15 years younger than you, suddenly decides that he is going to make a run down the field. Now, the reason he's going to make a run down the field is because the flow of the game is such that everything moves to the other side. So there's a huge 60 to 70 meter open lane. Now, the chances are that nothing's going to happen. The temptation is to just let him go. You're thinking, because you got to keep in mind, the reason that you're down on his end of the field is because you've just made a 25, 30 meter sprint. And suddenly, this young guy who, by the way, it chagrins me to have to admit, is faster than me, just takes off, not at a sprint, just at a good, healthy trot. And so I thought, okay, I better go with him. Because this is a team, we've played each other for years, I know these guys. So I go down with him, and sure enough, I'm trotting along, maybe, a couple meters behind him. And then all of a sudden, the ball comes our way. The center midfielder takes the ball, turns around, sees he's got a lead on me, and makes a beautiful pass 10 meters in front of us. Perfect for him to run onto. Now I'm paying attention, so of course I break into a sprint, as does he. I don't get there in time to stop the shot, but I get there in time to put pressure on him, force him to take it sooner than he likes, and instead of putting on goal, he puts it wide of the net. So I have just jogged, 35, 40 meters, and then sprinted another 20 to 25 meters. Okay? It's pain. I mean, yes, it's a smart play. It's the correct play. But here's the point that I'm trying to make. I had to make the decision to embrace the pain at the beginning. I had to decide to go ahead and accept that it was going to hurt by the end. So now let's tie this to what some of the stuff that was going on Twitter today. I posted a meme that identified Richard Spencer as being fake right. I identified him. Now, I was willing to sort of let it go in the general interest of, peace among the right and that sort of thing, until it came out that he was behaving unethically with regards to an author who's a friend of mine over here in Europe. We don't need to get into that now, but, trust me, I know all the facts because I got the contract right here. Remember, what do you know about me? I don't go off half-cocked. I always know my case before I open my mouth and start yapping about it. So, anyhow, that's led up to Jason Kessler, who was the organizer of the inappropriately named Unite the Right rally. And he was going on, a story was posted on some site, I don't even know what the name of it was, saying that he had been employed by CNN at some point. And anyhow, he did not take that well. And it is entirely possible that that particular story might have misidentified him, because it's possible that there was a different Jason Kessler working there. I don't know. I don't know the truth. I am not privy to CNN's employment records. I don't read Snopes. I don't believe Snopes. I mean, they may be right about this. I'm just saying that Snopes is not a reliable authority. I mean, if Jason Kessler says that he wasn't the Jason Kessler, then, perhaps he isn't. But, he has said that. I mean, he was, and his Obama and Occupy ties are accurate. He's never denied those. But the point that I'm trying to make, okay, we'll get to what this has to do with it later. Let's stick to the subject and then we'll get to that. If you're on Twitter, read the exchange between Jason Kessler and I. And what you will see is, as with Richard Spencer, these are people who are not equipped in any way, shape, or form for any form of leadership. I'm not saying leadership of the alt-right. I am not saying that they can't have a place in this sort of thing. What I'm saying is these are weak, soft individuals who have never experienced much in the way of pain or challenge. They have not been tested. They cannot withstand any pressure. Okay? It was kind of funny because I was hammering Kessler. I was hammering Kessler because he called a press conference and was legitimately surprised by the fact that a number of protesters, like quite a few protesters, maybe 100 protesters showed up, started screaming at him, and then he tried to run away and was tackled by a girl. Now, the thing that was funny was that his response to this was, well, the police didn't protect me. So what? So what? He was trying to say, I faced down all these people. No, you didn't face it down. You ran away. You want to know who actually confronted hundreds of protesters in Antifa? This guy did. Ivan Throne. You have seen him standing there, looking like some kind of big deaf lion, filming them, totally fearless. They're screaming at him. They were trying to hit him with flags. Nobody wanted any piece of Ivan. And here's the thing. If you read the 9 Laws, and I signed the 9 Laws specifically because of this, you know why Ivan's tough. Ivan went through hell as a little kid. He had, if I recall, the preface is called The Dying Child. That's why he's mostly deaf. And so the thing is that if you haven't been, is Ivan tough? Yes. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. If you notice, people like Richard Spencer, people like Chris Cantwell, people like Jason Kessler respond very, very differently to being criticized and so forth. You guys, if you read the Twitter thread, you saw Jason Kessler accusing me of all kinds of things. Oh, you're a coward. You're a liar. Blah, 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 blah. Did you see me react to any of that? Do you honestly think any of it bothered me? Of course not. Why not? Because I've been through the crucible. Okay? A lot of people, most people know that I was a bit of an athlete. As it happens, I was a Division I, and I was an NCAA Division I sprinter. All right? Now you might say, sprinting? You can run away fast. What does that mean? Well, what you don't know is that every Wednesday we had a speed workout. And you know what a speed workout is? It's basically when you walk 100 meters. Well, actually, really, you sprint 200 meters. It's not flat out, but it's faster than normal people can even run. So you sprint 200 meters. Usually we average around 27 to 29 seconds. Then you walk 100 meters, you jog 100 meters, and you do it again. Here's the thing. I usually started throwing up after 8 laps. Everybody on the team was throwing up by 12. The coaches had big plastic lined garbage cans placed strategically at the corners because they knew that we were going to be vomiting. It got to the point where on Wednesdays somebody would pick a color, and everybody would try to eat green food just because then we would all throw up green. The worst that we ever had was when we did 15. I mean, I don't know that I've ever been in more pain. But we won the indoor and outdoor championships both of those years that I ran track. Is there a connection between them? I don't know. But what I do know is that the reason that we managed to tie a better team tonight, and when I say better team, they have players who when they played as professionals, beat Real Madrid. Okay? These guys are really freaking good. And so they're better than us. But we have a new captain, and his idea of practice is we're going to play for 2 hours. We just play for 2 hours straight. It's intense. We basically have one break of about 5 minutes. By the end of the practice, we're all lying flat on our backs. Just don't talk to me. Don't look at me. I weighed myself. I was just curious. So I weighed myself after the last practice. I lost 5.3 pounds of water weight at practice. 2.5 hours apart, you lose 5 pounds. It's quite the diet. Pity it doesn't stay off, but the point is, you look at Mike Cernovich. People say, how come you and Mike Cernovich like each other? Well, Mike's a boxer. He's also been in the military. Being in the military doesn't necessarily toughen you up that much. It depends what you do. But he's been a boxer. He knows what it's like to take a punch. I spent 6 years doing very heavy contact martial arts. Broke something like 12 or 14 bones during that time. Broke my nose 3 times and got completely knocked out. So I'm going to get upset because you call me a name? No. The important thing about this stuff is not so that you can run around acting like you're a tough guy, talking like you're a tough guy, whatever. The reason that it makes you tough, or the reason that it makes you formidable in ways that have nothing to do with the physical element is because it's all up here. What I know, what Mike knows, what these guys know is that they will get punched, they will get knocked down, and they will get back up again. And they know they will beyond any shadow of a doubt because they've done it so many times before. I once estimated that I got knocked flat on my back either by a punch or a kick at least 200 times. I only actually got completely knocked out once. But, so it doesn't matter if people criticize you. It doesn't matter if people manage to pull the rug out from under you. No, Milo is not that tough mentally. Milo got really discombobulated back, when he got attacked after the whole, he wasn't ready because Milo is charming. And Milo always found a way to talk away, to charm his way out of it, talk his way out of it. Well, the one time he couldn't charm his way out of it or talk it out of it, he basically got knocked flat on his back, and it took him out of action for a couple months. But he's coming back, and he's going to come back tougher, and he's going to come back harder, and he's going to come back more prepared to deal with setbacks. There's a reason why all those special forces and stuff are always doing. You know, you ever notice like when they show the Chinese military or the Russian military, you know, the way that they, you know, always show them doing like martial arts and stuff. And I used to think it was silly. I used to think it was stupid. You know, what are you going to do? Like, you know, kung fu-y, chop suey, this stuff on the battlefield where people are shooting, you know, guns and grenades and stuff? Ridiculous, right? But once I got involved in martial arts, that's when I began to understand. Okay, the reason that they have them doing that is to toughen them up mentally, to give them the tools to survive the setbacks that they're going to experience. And so, so that's the point of this. And so the problem that you've got is that you never, ever want to follow or even regard as a role model anyone who hasn't been through this kind of stuff. All right? You know, I trust somebody like Ivan Throne. I trust somebody like Mike Cernovich, because if they put themselves in that situation, you are not going to see them crying on a video. You are not going to see them running away from girls because the police won't protect them. You know, here's the thing. If you put yourself in that position, then you have a responsibility to stand there and take it. When Mike and Milo and I held that Gamergate in Paris meeting, GG in Paris, we knew there was a possibility that there were going to be problems. You know, bomb threats had been called in to other GG in Paris meetings. You know, there was the possibility of problems with Muslims and all that kind of stuff. We actually intentionally chose a spot that was close to a police station, and I hired 4 guys from a full contact MMA studio that was nearby through one of my readers in Paris. You know, but here's the thing. I made it clear to Mike and Milo that if something happens, we're the last ones out. We're the ones who confront the opportunity because we're the ones who organized it. All right? And so, and you know, both of them said absolutely, of course. That's what men do. That's what responsible individuals do. Once you take that position, you know, I'm not talking about being a leader of a movement or anything. I'm saying once you become the captain of the game or the organizer of the event, you are in charge, and everybody else's security, everybody else's well-being is on you. All right? So not everybody makes mistakes. That's fine. I mean, you know, I think there were a tremendous number of mistakes with regards to that, but it was mostly the result of inexperience and naivety. It happens. I have no doubt that some people will learn from it. Richard Spencer won't. How do I know that? Because I tried to talk to him for over several months. I said, look, your media model is outdated. Dancing for the media is not going to help. He hasn't learned. He's still doing the same thing. Why? Because these guys are gammas, in answer to your timely question. These guys are not psychosocially, or sociosexually if you prefer, prepared for the position that they want to hold. And that's always the problem with gammas. Gammas always have ambitions that go well beyond their capabilities and well beyond the realities of the situation. And so that's why they get so outraged and so upset. And the thing is that, like I've said many times, you've got to learn the lessons of Gamergate. You've got to reject the concept of leadership. I told Spencer months and months ago, you should, if people want to anoint you the leader because you coined something, you need to tell them, no, I'm not the leader. There is no leader. He never did that because he wants to be a leader. Because he's a gamma, and gammas always want to be the secret king. So, so the lesson of this is, there's several lessons to be learned here. Number one, one thing I was telling that kid who was claiming to be, he was saying, oh, I'm smarter than you and so on. And maybe he is, I don't know. He pointed out correctly that I'd made various information public and so forth. Okay? That's fine. But I pointed out that experience matters. Where does the experience matter as it comes to the alternative right? Well, I remember back in the 80s, early 90s, when the neocons came in. They were converts. They actually came in earlier than that, but that's when it became noticeable. They were serious converts. Well, we all know how the neocons, seeing the light and becoming Republicans and becoming leaders in the Republican Party, we all know how well that turned out for Republicans. Not very well. So there's no way. So we know how this ends. We know how it turns out when you let left-wing newcomers suddenly seeing the light, joining the right, and attempting to become its leaders. Whether they are doing it intentionally or not, it's a terrible, terrible mistake to allow them to do that. So any time you've got these newcomers and so forth, the correct thing to do is say, thank you very much. We're glad that you want to help. No, well-meaning converts are not okay for leadership. You never, ever allow a convert to take any position of leadership. We have a lot of volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers at Castelia House and Infogalactic and all this sort of thing. I don't give any of them any serious responsibility. I give them I actually basically assign them to people that already have given me reason to trust, and then they assign them tasks. Guess what almost always happens when these really enthusiastic volunteers who really, just really want it. They really believe in the mission and really want to be part of it and really want to have all these great ideas that can totally improve what you're doing. Guess what happens when you tell them that they're not going to be in charge of anything? Poof. That's how committed to the mission they are. If they can't run it, or at least a part of it, or really what it comes down to, if they can't derive sufficient self-satisfaction from the status they're being given, they will leave. And that's good, because you absolutely do not want these people involved. Here's a question for you. If Richard Spencer did not have the status that he has among parts of the alt-right, do you think he'd still be alt-right? Maybe. I don't know. But, if he didn't, and the thing that's all ridiculous about it is that, of course, it's the media propping him up. There are genuinely people who look to him for leadership. They're going to be disappointed. And so, I know what Richard's motivation is. Richard wants to be running a think tank. And he is attempting to use the 1980s model of generating lots of media attention, because all publicity is good publicity, and then using it to find enough people around him. Exactly. He is a wannabe National Review. And essentially, that is the David Duke model. And, Cernovich has said that. He said basically Richard Spencer is the David Duke of his generation. He's the guy the media runs to get a quote to fit its narrative. So, here's the thing. There are worse crimes. There's nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't even say that he's a con man. I'm just saying that it's not a model or an approach that is going to successfully reach any of the goals that most of the people who have alt-right sympathetic views believe are important. So, I don't know if he called himself the Marx of the alt-right or if somebody else did, but he doesn't write anywhere nearly enough to be Marx. Frankly, I don't think he's even coherent enough to call him the Henri Saint-Simon of the alt-right. No, and obviously no one's going to follow Laura Loomer or, Jack or Cernovich. That's not what they do. And here's what I'm saying. I've told you this many times before. The alt-right is inevitable. It doesn't need a leader. That's like saying, who's going to be the leader of the earthquake? There's a big fault. There's a big fault in the earth. There's a fissure. We know there's going to be a very large earthquake. But who will lead it? Who will lead the earthquake? No one. No one needs to lead the earthquake. The earthquake is going to happen no matter what. People are going to rise to the occasion in very different areas at very different times. Okay? And so, if there was a leader, that's exactly right. Who will be the leader of the Industrial Revolution? There is no leader. Who will be the leader of the alt-right? There is no leader. And yes, there will be fractures along many different lines. The United States is going to fracture. There is no single American nation anymore. Therefore, it is going to fracture. And so all I'm saying is that what you need to focus on doing is speaking the truth and doing the right thing and opposing that which is evil. Stand up against it. Support the various alt-tech endeavors. You know, I think I'm actually supposed to launch my Voxdiversity channel very soon, if not tomorrow. But I don't think I will, because I haven't actually done anything to get ready for it. But the point is, I mean, we would do better. You know, when people talked about the leader of Gamergate, there's a reason why the Gamergaters came up with Vivian James. And so, because there was no leader, there was never any leader. I mean, we are of the right, therefore we should be for decentralization. You know? We don't need a king. I don't know who Jonathan Bowden is. I mean, for me, you know who the best single person in the alt-right is? The most important single person in the alt-right is? Go ahead and guess. It's not Stefan, it's not Taleb, it's not Trump. No, the best single person in the alt-right, the most effective single person in the alt-right, whether he considers himself alt-right or not, is Andrew Torba. Torba just does his thing. He has his task. He has his goal. And he makes it happen. And that success that he has at Gab has knock-on effects all across the political spectrum. There's a reason why Gab is always getting attacked. And there's a reason why Andrew Torba is getting attacked, because he is the most effective individual on the right now. Words are very, very important, but so are actions. You know, if you want, I'll tell you this right now, if you want to make a difference, if you want to help the alt-right, the inevitable alt-right move along, you should be helping the various alt-tech projects. That's far more important than running around some town carrying a tiki torch. All right? So, anyhow, I hope this has helped put some things in perspective. You know, the more, you know, the more that you take punches, the more that you suffer setbacks, the stronger you're going to be. And so that's what you need to focus on. So, you know, I don't expect everybody to agree with me. I don't even expect everybody to understand me. But I hope that at least you understand that I'm not coming at this from some, you know, personal vendetta or anything like that, or much less personal ambition. You know, Trump's rallies are great. That's very different. You know, Trump's rallies are fantastic. They're morale boosters for the entire right. And more importantly, they energize Trump. So remember this. The alt-right is inevitable. It doesn't need any leaders. Don't accept any ambitious people trying to set themselves up as leaders. And only accept guidance from people who are sufficiently hardened by experience and setbacks. Have a good evening.